Idaho Sports Talk, Prater and the Ballgame. Having fun today. Our first day back in the RoPaint.com studio from last week's extravaganza in Las Vegas. Prater and the Ballgame. Prater doing a little bit of Big Sky stuff today because it is media day there in Spokane at the casino and everything. And we're joined now by the head coach of the Idaho Vandals, entering, kind of hard to believe, feels like he's been there longer, his second season at the helm of the Vandal football program. He's Jason Eck, and he's right here at home on Idaho Sports Talk. What's going on, Coach? Welcome to Prater and the Ballgame, my friend.
Hey, good to be on with you guys. Appreciate, as always, your guys' coverage down there.
Hey, now, Coach, I think he insulted you. He says, it feels like you've been here longer. That seems like an insult to me. Ballgame, explain yourself.
He might think I look pretty old, but I still think I got a little nicer hair than I, even though Ballgame might be a little younger than me. I think my hair's a little better. So, but call me old.
Honestly, I'll start because it feels like, that Jason Eck personal PR tour you went on when you got this gig. You were out there, you were everywhere, and I just thought about it. God, this is only year 2, Coach. I know winning, that's obviously the most important thing, but I'll start you off right here. Did you see results of what I call the Jason Eck personal PR tour last year?
Well, I think we got a lot of Vandal fans who were excited about Vandal football again. I think that showed last year with our attendance growing. I think in 2021 we averaged about 4,000 something fans, and last year that was up to 8,000, and hopefully we can be up above 10,000 this year. So I think people are excited about it. I think we got a lot of great players who are a little bit more household names now who established themselves last year, and we got a lot of those guys coming back. So it's a good problem to have when you have a lot of good players. Now we just can't screw it up as coaches.
Yeah, massive star power. Obviously, Hayden Hatton wins Offensive Player of the Year. Preseason MVP there. You got your quarterback, you got your running back, you have 2 receivers. Coach, you were all over the offensive All Big Sky preseason team. I guess my question is, how do you, of course, you want your guys on here, but is this program, in your opinion, the staff, is everybody ready for the pressure? Coach, people think you're good now. Last year, nobody did. How is it different?
Well, you want to coach at a place that has high expectations. You want to be at a place, whether it's the Montana schools in our league that have high expectations every year. I know down by you guys, Boise State has high expectations every year. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know if we're there yet, but that's something I hope we can grow our program into. And I think the focus for our guys is, you can't get caught up in the preseason stuff because it really doesn't matter. No one remembers in 5 years who the preseason, player of the year was, or who was picked high in the preseason rankings. It's the final rankings. So we got to put in a lot of work during training camp. We didn't get too caught up last year when we were picked low. Now we're picked a little higher this year. We can't get too caught up in that. We got to get to work. We got to get to work and have a great training camp and build up through the non-conference, and then we'll have 8 really tough conference games, and see how good we can get this team. But we got to rest on our own merits. What happened last year is done. Now it's all about this 2023 team.
Idaho football coach Jason Eck from Big Sky Media Days in Spokane. Hey, I'm going to connect, what you just talked about, the polls real quick, and the question that Johnny asked. And you're looking at these polls. Idaho's got some first-place votes and finished number 2 in the media poll, and the coaches poll number 5. I'm just going to be real honest here. Is that a direct relationship of your personality and your relationship and the parade show that you put on last year? And I mean that in all sense of the good words. And maybe the coaches are saying, yeah, you still got a little bit to prove to me, Coach. Do you buy into that?
I'm sure there's some guys who are dying to kick Idaho's ass this year, but we got to go to work, man. That the coaches aren't going to decide anything. I'm not going to make any blocks, and Houck ain't going to make any catches, or Vegan ain't going to make any throws. It's the players. So we got to do a great job with these guys and prove it on the field, man. We got to prove it on the field, and it starts with your non-conference. I think those non-conference games are still very important for playoffs and for seedings and things, and getting your win total up, so hopefully we can get some home playoff games in the Kibbe Dome going down the road. But coaches are competitive just like players are, and we got a very competitive, strong league with a lot of great coaches and a lot of great players, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a very fun year in the Big Sky.
Here's a good old-fashioned media days question as we get to know your football team a little bit. Obviously, you've done a great job getting 6 players on the all-conference team, skill players all over the place, a defensive guy, a special teams guy. Here's the old-fashioned question, though. Trenches, offside, or offense, defense, trenches, defensive line, offensive line. How do you feel about that going into this season, Coach?
we got to make some growth there. I think if we're talking, when the final all conference team comes out, if we still don't have any O linemen or D linemen on the all conference team, that probably is telling us we're not going to have as good of a year as we'd like to have. So just like last year, I think last year Hayden Hatton and Jermaine Jackson, Giovanni, those guys weren't preseason all conference selections, but they emerged, and we're going to need some guys on defense, some guys in the O line to emerge this year, and maybe guys that aren't household names right now, or guys who are known by other coaches in the conference. Hopefully by the end of the year they will, and I'm encouraged. I think our guys have had a great off season training with Coach Heim, and I think we can make a jump on both the O line and the D line and tight end. I think that's another area we got to improve, but that'll probably tell the tale of our season more so than all the skill guys who have the attention, is how much better we can get on the line of scrimmage.
Idaho Vandal head football coach Jason Eck right here, Prater in the Ballgame, Idaho Sports Talk. You've been in a lot of leagues. You can go back to even when you were a player, an offensive lineman at Wisconsin in those Ron Dane years, Coach. I don't know if I've ever seen a conference that feels like it's this competitive. I could have seen 1 through 6 there having first place votes. Have you been a part of anything like this? It really does feel like this season, they say it every year in every league, but I think it really means something with the Big Sky this year. This really is up for grabs. You see it that way?
No question. And it speaks to the depth of our league, a lot of quality coaches, a lot of schools where football is important. So it's a unique league, because you see a lot of leagues like that. When I was in I think I spent 6 years in the Missouri Valley Conference. I think North Dakota State was picked to win the league every year.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't a lot of drama, but there certainly is a number of good teams in the conference. And I think we saw that last year. We really didn't bring it and play well against UC Davis, and they kicked our butt. So you got to be ready to go every week and play at a high level. And if you don't bring your A game, you're definitely at risk to getting whooped. So, better be ready to go, consistent. That's something we got to grow into. We got to be a more consistent football team than we were last year.
Big Sky coaches poll has Montana State number 1, UC Davis number 2, and Sacramento State number 3, all receiving first place votes. We did talk to Cody Hawkins. He voted UC Davis number 1.
Shocker.
Shocking. Yeah, shocking. I have no idea who voted Sacramento State number 1. I'm assuming you threw Montana State a number 1 vote, Coach. What do you like about these? Why are the Bobcats so dominant this year?
Well, Montana State's done a great job. They're good at the line of scrimmage. They've been very good running the ball over the last few years. And, I always think your running game is not at whims to have a bad day. Sometimes you can have a good passing attack, and if it's a bad weather game, that can affect it. But the running game, that kind of never has a bad day. And they run the ball very well. They have 2 quarterbacks who played a lot, who are really good athletes. Coach Vegan's really done a good job there. Kind of building off what Coach Choate had, and they've been in the back-to-back years in the championship game and the semifinals, and they've had two great games in the playoffs against South Dakota State the last couple of years. And I think it shows how important home field is. When they had home field, they beat South Dakota State last year. They had to go on the road and lost, but I think they're clearly the standard bearer right now in the conference and the team to beat. And we're excited to play them this year. We didn't get a chance to play them this year, and we're thankful to have them at home too, because that's a tough place to play.
That's going to be a huge atmosphere too. Coach Eck joining us here, Prater on the Ballgame, Idaho Sports Talk. And, we had Cody Hawkins on the show earlier, and it was fun catching up with him. What's it like having 2 Hawks bouncing around there today, Coach?
Yeah, there's a big Hawkins factor here. They kind of have like a voting block in politics now, but we have our discussions. But no, he did a great job. Like I said, he did a great job for them at UC Davis, and they were very efficient on offense. I think their quarterback, who's back, is a heck of a player. So they're I think he'll do a good job there. I think that was a good hire for them, and hopefully he can stabilize their program and be there for a while and help build that thing. And I think it's good for our whole state. You want all the teams in Idaho to do well, so that's and hopefully recruit a lot of the great high school players in Idaho. And I think it's good for the whole state. And I think 3 of the 4 teams that play football in Idaho had winning records last year, if you include Boise and College of Idaho. So hopefully he can get those guys back on the right track, and that'd be a heck of a deal if one year we can say all 4 of the teams had a winning record.
Coach, what's the biggest intangible for you and your team this year? And we've talked about some of the obvious stuff in terms of something needs to happen to just give you this kind of magical season. What do you talk to the guys about in terms of the intangibles?
I think we got to have a lot of grit. We got to come in and day out. And I think we learned, we had a lot of growth last year, but I still don't think we understood that, when you're really a part of like a championship team, you never have bad practices. you're able to get out of a funk. Maybe you have a bad period or a bad 10 minutes, but then you get it turned around very quickly. So we got to have that consistency and grit throughout the season just to come out and push ourselves. Have great competition between our offense and defense, every day in practice. And football is such a unique game. You just don't get as many opportunities. We're only guaranteed 11 games, so you better make sure you're bringing your A game in each one of those 11 games and playing your best, because you got to earn the right if you want more than 11.
Coach Eck again with us. What are your non-con philosophies? I heard Ken Wilson of Nevada talk about you guys on Mountain West Media Day, and he was saying, hey, they're taking that game obviously very seriously because, what you guys have been able to do at that level. I also heard Bruce Barnum say that he lost 7 players due to injury when they played a Pac-12 team last year and they never recovered. How does Coach Eck and your staff, how do you guys assess the non-con philosophies?
Well, I think it's a work in progress. The part about college football schedules is they're often booked way in advance. So I got to have a little say this year in that we picked up Lamar so that we have an all Division I schedule. So I think that's something that's critical. Number one, you'd like to have an all Division I schedule because you have to get 7 Division I wins to really get serious playoff consideration. So I appreciate our administration, getting us bought out of our D2 game we had.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to work to having one. I think you always want to have one big money game. I'd always love to play one Power 5 team because I think that's a big opportunity for your players to measure themselves against the highest level. And, that's always what the NFL scouts want to flip on too. We're going to embrace having 2 games this year with Nevada and Cal. Again, it's probably a little bit better, having Nevada and Cal than having 2 Power 5 teams like we played last year. So that's an improvement. And but it's a work in progress to getting us to ideally we play 2 FCS teams and then 1 Power 5 team. And I think like 2025 is going to be the first year that we have that. But we're going to embrace it this year, and I think that'll be a great opportunity to play Nevada and from a great conference in the Mountain West, and hopefully put some good football on film.
Coach, some fans understood, buying out the Division II team. Yes, it was a home game. You weren't able to reschedule a home game. That irritated some fans. They look at their schedule. What the heck? Only 4 home games this year. Those are big-time matchups coming in, though. Big marquee teams. You guys selling out the Kibby this year, you expect?
I don't know if we'll quite sell it out, but when we get over 10,000 fans in there, it's loud. Last year we had that for 2 games for Portland State and for Eastern Washington, and I thought the fans really had an impact on the football game. Both those games, we drew the other team off sides, which I attribute to our crowd noise. So I'm hoping that all 4 of our games this year will be over 10,000 fans, and that they'll make a difference in the game that way. And then we got to back it up. That was kind of my idea to get the all Division I schedule. So. We wrote the check. Now I wrote the check. Now the team's got to cash it. We got to try to get a home game to make up for that in the playoffs. That's kind of the goal is get to the playoffs and get some playoff football in the Kibby Dome.
All right, Coach. We'll let you get back to it. Hopefully we can get you on sometime during fall camp. Idaho Vandals picked 2nd in the media polls, 5th in the coaches poll for the Big Sky preseason polls. Coach Eck, appreciate your time, man.
Hey.